past few weeks, a theme has been emerging of gigantic failures, who... no one knows why they're gigantic failures. Great songs, but never went anywhere. And I do kind of buy into that romantic notion of a band being good, but utterly overlooked, making no money, you know, probably not eating, stuff like that. And when occasionally bands do become big, it's upsetting. I mean, me and you were big fans of Divine Comedy very early on, and then they had that bloody Woodshed song, and everyone was walking around going, Woodshed song, that is amazing. I love that Woodshed song.
Yeah, well, keep people from the West Country by the sound of it, but
well, because they were the people I knew at the time.
Sure.
But yeah, so I don't like them getting big. I like them being failures. Moose were gigantic failures, basically. But they released a number of great songs. This was off their first album, and for reasons that have become very apparent, it's called The Whistling Song.
Harry, that was your choice. Name it.
That was The Whistling Song by Moose, a work of Woozy Genius, I think. It was off their first album, XYZ.
You said the word genius there. It's a word that gets bandied around a lot, and I'm not sure I can agree.
Really?
I mean, listening to it, it's sort of charming. I fear that if it was perhaps put on a compilation CD for me, it would just pass me by.
Oh, that's a bit disappointing.
It's not got under my skin. I mean, dare I say it, I'm wondering if perhaps the reason Moose haven't become the super band that you thought they were is because they're not quite cutting it.
Well,
it's nice enough, but I'm wondering if it's a bit indistinguishable from a lot of other similar sounds of the period.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is after this, they then went country, when it wasn't cool to like Johnny Cash, you know, before everyone else did, and so just completely died a death. It was such a shame.
Well, no, I admire your passion, and I respect the fact that you've brought it to our attention, but can it beat necessarily what Dan has brought in? I mean, we know in the past that Dan has had some shocking choices.
Absolutely.
Last week he won by default because we played the wrong version of the song he'd championed. But what have you got for us this week?
Well, this week, if anybody can come up with a song worse than Harry, then I can. But I think I've done well this week. Stereolab is where I'm visiting.
Now, obviously, I'm familiar with Stereolab. Big hit, I think, was Ping Pong. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, way back when. This comes from a bit after that. This was from '97, and Harry was talking about gigantic failures, and my love life was very much a gigantic failure around about '97. And Stereolab, if you're familiar with their work, they've kind of got the sort of rocky, but they're also a little bit experimental, and they've got this French bird who sings over the top. Sure. And she sounds really, really attractive, and she kind of epitomised the sort of woman that I wanted around about the time, a sort of a slightly hip, into her music, French.
Right. Someone you could call it bird. It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. French bird.
Here's my French bird.
You know, she's intelligent, but she's not afraid to rock out, which I always like. And, you know, you'd always end up, and you'd see these women walking around, like, I remember being in the streets of Bristol, and I saw Hip Hop Nurse. She was driving along in a convertible, listening to some pounding hip-hop, dressed in a nurse's outfit. Oh, yeah. That's the sort of woman I want.
Did you try and leap in the back of the convertible? I've always thought that might be a fun fantasy, to jump into the passenger seat and go, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And them screaming, you know.
I didn't, no, because I was far too...
Have you jumped into someone's convertible? 64046.
Or were you Hip-Hop Nurse?
Yeah. Hip-Hop Nurse. I wonder if she's still is hip-hop. Maybe because she may have gone through a few phases. Junglist nurse for a while.
Yeah, she's probably emo nurse.
She's emo nurse now, exactly.
But either way, she was lovely.
Sure, Stereolab.
So back to Stereolab, yes. This is one of the songs where Letitia, the singer, rocks out a little bit, and it's called The Noise of Carpet.
Stereolab, it's Daniel's choice this week. What was the name of the tune?
The Noise of Carpet. And I know that you've always been a fan of the emotion in music, and Stereolab might be a bit artsy for you, which may not, I don't know, that may not quite appeal to the Steve sensibility. I don't know, I'm asking you.
Last week you chose a tune about tinnitus, this week you've chosen a tune about carpet. These are not things which naturally evoke emotion in me.
No, I'm not sure that lyrically that one, because last week the song was very much lyrically about tinnitus.
Dan, I wasn't listening to the lyrics, I wasn't paying attention. Harry, what you want to chip in here?
No, you see, I did like that, but my problem with Stereolab is I've been hoodwinked before by them. You know, a great tune, you go and buy the album and the rest of it sounds like someone doing the hoovering while a lorry reverses in the background.
Absolutely wrong in this case. Emperor Tomato Ketchup, 96. Yeah. And it's a beauty. It's that is admittedly the rockiest, possibly the poppiest track on there, and there is at least one track that sort of noodles on for 9 minutes. I love that. because I love a bit of noodle. But it's generally, there's nothing that should scare a Harry or a Steve.
Guys, while you have this discussion, I'm going to play a different tune because I was dozing off. But I'll tell you right now, though, in the past, Dan, you have won for the wrong reasons. This week, you're going to win for the right reasons, because although I didn't particularly like either of the tunes, I was quite tickled by Stereolab. It's got a nice poppy summery feel, it's quite bright outside, so I'm going to give it to Dan, which is very, very well done indeed. Let's have some undertones before the news. We're back after the news with a special guest. It's Steve Merchant, The Six Show? The Six Show on BBC Steve Music, and I discovered after about 10 weeks of doing the show that I have a pigeonhole. Round of applause for the pigeonhole, yeah, in the Steve Wright style. And there's lots of CDs in there, and I've been catching up on some recent stuff that I missed, and that's one of the tunes, Long Before Rock and Roll by Swedish band. I'm pronouncing them Mando Diao. I'm sure someone will come down on me like a ton of bricks if I've got that wrong. And that's taken from their forthcoming album, Ode to Ocracy, which apparently has already been a #1 hit in Austria. Not very across the Austrian music scene. Not sure I know if there's any bands from Austria, or indeed what's popular in Austria. Perhaps you're Austrian, get in touch, 64046. Does Austria still exist, or is it been annexed by something?
It still exists.
Is it still there? Is it quite small?
Yeah, it's fairly small.
And where is it?
I believe it's South Germany.
South Germany?
Yeah, it's in South Germany.
But it's not considered German?
No.
And it's very much its own sovereign state?
Yes, it is.
It is, of course, famous for giving us Hitler.
Yes.
But has it given us any interesting music? 64046, Stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. Are you Austrian? Don't be ashamed of your past. We're not going to bring it up. We just want to find out if... and it's not your fault. You must forgive and forget. Okay. Now, the whole point of me doing the show originally was not to talk drivel like that and dredge up the awful past, but actually to play music and to have this as a kind of forum for people to come in and share music with me, introduce records to me that perhaps I'm unfamiliar with, and therefore perhaps to you, the listeners. Somewhere along the way, it's turned into a pale imitation of the Chris Moore Show. I apologise for that. But in an attempt to drag us back to our roots, please welcome a special guest who has brought along some records. You know him as one half of Adam and Joe. I know him as one half of Adam and Joe. Please welcome Adam from Adam and Joe. It's Adam Buxton, who does, I'm sure, want to be labelled as merely the sidekick to Joe Cornish. He's very much his own man, which I'm sure we'll discover. Adam, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. No, it is. It's really nice.
Thank you for giving up your Sunday afternoons. I know you're a family man. You probably would be playing with your children.
One of the child is asleep and being taken care of by a qualified nanny.
Really? You've got that kind of money?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Well, I've done voiceovers.
Of course, lucrative voiceover.
Yeah. And the other one is at a party.
Oh, okay.
So it's all taken care of. I'm you know.
It's okay. You've got you can let your hair down.
Yeah, exactly.
This afternoon. Earlier I was talking about speed dating. I don't know if that's something you ever had to do prior to your days of marriage. But how would you introduce yourselves to the listeners who are perhaps unfamiliar? Imagine that they're an attractive lady. They've just sat opposite you. How would you sell yourself instantly? Who are you? What are you about?
Is this on purely physical terms?
No. It's just that, if you've got a few seconds to try and charm someone, what would you, as you say, what are your greatest hits, as it were?
All right. Well, I'd say, are you a TV fan? Do you like a bit of cult TV? Because I, at one time was king of cult TV. We used to do a show called The Adam and Joe Show on Channel 4, and it went...
Ding, ding! Move on, please.
And if she wasn't impressed by that, then I don't really have anything else in my arsenal. I could say, you seen Hot Fuzz? Yeah, I'm in that. And you could, of course, say that yourself.
You are in Hot Fuzz, of course, as well, yeah. And excellent you were. You were, of course, massacred by a church spire that severed, that kind of ploughed into your head.
You're not supposed to say that, because the nerds get angry with you. Because they say, you're supposed to do a spoiler warning. You're supposed to do a spoiler. Why didn't you say spoiler warning coming up? Now it's ruined. Because it's a pivotal death.
I was on Jonathan Ross's show yesterday plugging the new Extras DVD, which I can't mention on here. I can't talk about that, because it breaks all kinds of BBC rules. But I foolishly let slip the secret that you and I know about Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
But which some people, perhaps listening, don't. And, of course, I didn't think I was having an adult conversation with an adult man. Didn't occur to me that perhaps there's a couple of young kids there who may be asking some serious questions.
Yeah.
It's quite shocking that. You've got to be it's terrifying.
Was Jonathan angry with you about that, or was that something that occurred to you later?
It occurred to me as I left the studio. I thought, well, I've made a terrible, terrible mistake.
It's touching that it even occurred to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But at what point do you feel that you can break that news to your child? How long are you going to try and keep it going for?
I don't know, maybe 30 years.
Because I was quite shocked when I discovered about the tooth fairy, because it was quite late. I was probably about 12, and I was on my bike, and someone mentioned it. I thought, hang on a minute, what?
It's a strange thing, because I'm about to reveal a couple of things here that reflect quite badly on me. The first of which is that I once read an interview with Julian Cope, where he said the best bit of advice he could give any parent would be just don't lie to them about anything. this is your kiss.
Yes, yes.
And I thought that's quite good, you know, because it's sort of profound if you think about it, because there are a load of things that you do just in the course of daily life have to lie about, or you feel you have to lie about.
Yeah, don't, you know, you're always saying things like, look, make sure you look both ways as you
Yeah.
cross a busy street, when of course we all know you just drunkenly stagger across it, you know, and
right.
hope for the best.
Yeah, but you know, if you try and keep to the policy that you just don't tell them any lies, even white lies, as much as is possible, unless they're going to be totally freaked out by something, or if you feel you're going to have to lie, just avoid the whole subject, you get around it some way.
Yeah.
But Santa is the only one that you really
You can't be breaking that lie.
you can't start saying, listen, I don't know what your friends are telling you,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's a load of nonsense designed to shift transformers.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm not. No,
No child's welcome. But it's the strange thing that there's a kind of, as you say, a conspiracy that early on there are a couple of lies which you can tell your children.
Yeah.
And yet everything else you're always saying, don't tell lies. I'm always going to tell the truth to you.
That's right.
It's a very strange
I
sort of
know,
moral
so
area.
you don't want to get busted, and yet I know I'm complicit in this giant lie, and one day he's going to look at me and think, so what was all that about? Don't lie and
Well,
be truthful.
that's why they become teenagers. You see, that's
Yeah.
why they start rebelling, because you've already sowed the seeds of doubt. They question your authority.
You've perpetrated not only a massive lie, but also quite a mad one.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
Yeah.
insane one.
Yeah, it's the same as the whole Jesus thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, being the Son of God. It's goodness, I'm going to get in trouble now.
Well, he came back. No matter what your denomination is, you know, I guess I should have checked more carefully before sending him to this certain school, I suppose. And I don't have any problem with the fact that he's being taught about religious things. I'm not sort of anti-religious in that way. But he came back yesterday and was chatting all about Jesus and all the things that Jesus had done and everything. And it sort of surprised me, because we hadn't really covered all that stuff. So now I feel as if that's one other thing I'm going to have to deal with at some stage. Of
Sure.
course, maybe he's got one over on me and he wasn't aware of.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that we've brought up religion on a Sunday.
I'd say
on the
that we've
Sabbath.
upset almost everyone.
Parents,
Yeah.
kids, Santa lovers,
Santa lovers,
everywhere,
Jesus lovers.
and Jesus lovers. So perhaps we should move on to the reason that you're here, which is to introduce some music unto me. What kind of flavours would you say are swirling around in your head on a day-to-day basis? What are the things which kind of tick your boxes?
Well, you know, I feel as if I do have Catholic taste.
Okay.
But generally it comes back to sort of indie pop, I suppose, you know? And this is a band called the Silver Jews that I brought along with me.
Yeah.
Do you know the Silver Jews?
I'm familiar with the name, but not the artists.
He's, correct me if I'm wrong, fellow studio friends, but this guy's a ex-Pavement guy, I think, isn't he? Used
That's
to be
right, I
in
believe that's
Pavement?
right, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, he's got a really amazing and amusing style all his own. Like, he's not a brilliant singer. In fact, he's got one song about the fact that his favourite singers, none of them can sing. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So he's got great delivery, and it's that sort of deliberately odd kind of indie pop stuff that he does, but brilliant lyrics as well. Check out the lyrics in this one.
And which track have you chosen?
This is a track called People from an album called American Water, Silver Jews.
Let us be the judge of the Silver Jews.
See if you like it.
It's BBC Six Music, it's the Steve Show with me, Stephen Merchant, my guest today, Adam Buxton. A little round of applause in the Steve Wright style for Adam, in case you've only just tuned in, you want to hear the applause. And what was the name of the tune?
That was People.
People.
By Silver Jews.
Sure.
And there's a little factual correction there from a listener about the fact that he wasn't actually in Pavement, the guy. What was he?
They were his backing band, apparently, for the first two albums.
I tell you, they get furious if you make mistakes like that. It's sort of,
I
how dare you be on the radio,
Yeah.
Adam Buxton.
I didn't dot the I's.
You haven't, have you? Is that the kind of shameful mistakes you're going to be making when educating your child in music tastes? You know, that kid will be wandering around, misinformed about the Silver Jews, bullied at school. Well, yeah, you thought, oh, I'm sorry, you think he was in Pavement, was he? Oh, okay. I don't think so. You know, beating him with a breeze block or whatever the youths and the hoodies of today use to smash children's faces in. I don't know. If you know, get in touch, 64046. But is that something that you're anxious about, the moment where you really are, in a sense, educating a child? You are shaping them, you are moulding them. It's okay, it's all very well kind of shaping them in the early days, how not to crap on the carpet and so on, but later on you'll have to start introducing some quite big ideas.
I know, when it gets complicated, and the worst thing is that you feel guilty about laying down any hard and fast rules. You know, you're so aware of the fact now that maybe you've made your own mistakes, you don't want to instill them in them as well. So you leave everything really wide open, and you're like, well, going back to religion again, of course, you don't feel as if you want to poison their minds against religion, because some people, get a huge amount out of it, and it's a very valuable part of their lives.
Thanks for clearing that up in case we offended anyone just
Well,
now.
exactly. So you don't want to say, avoid religion. You want to say, listen, I want you to be aware of the potential pitfalls involved if you ascribe to any major religion. But of course, it can bring you a great deal of happiness and spiritual comfort.
And a 3-year-old's got very little interest in
I know,
hearing
it's
the shadings of it.
Just dribbling at me. He's got no idea. So
Sucking on his Dawkins.
it's difficult.